Did Todd Chrisley start filming new reality show with kids already? Todd and Julie Chrisley of Chrisley Knows Best fame were recently freed from prison thanks to a presidential pardon. Since then, fans have been wondering what this means next for the couple, especially when it comes to their reality television career. Recently, Todd himself addressed the idea during a recent press conference. Todd Chrisley has been making headlines since his recent presidential pardon. Todd and his family became known to audiences through the USA Network reality show, Chrisley Knows Best. However, back in 2022, Todd and his wife Julie were convicted of various charges, including tax evasion and bank fraud. In early 2023, Todd arrived at federal prison camp in Pensacola to start a 12-year sentence. However, in May 2025, he and his wife Julie would see themselves released from behind bars, thanks to a presidential pardon from President Donald Trump. Todd and his daughter Savannah recently spoke at a press conference in Nashville on May 30, following his release. A video of the conference was later released by News Nation. While there, he addressed fan questions if he and his wife would be returning to reality television. Todd revealed he and his wife started filming literally the night that we got home, after being pardoned by President Trump. Savannah also shared that viewers will see the first time he and Mom see each other following their release. A new Lifetime series was previously announced for the Chrisley family. The publication previously announced on May 21 that Lifetime will debut a new docuseries revolving around the family. Savannah, as well as Chase, Grayson, Chloe, and nanny Faye Chrisley, were confirmed to be part of the project. Since the news of Todd and Julie's pardon, however, fans had been wondering if they would also join the show. Savannah continued, we had been filming. And we had just wrapped filming for all intents and purposes. And then we get the call that they had been pardoned. So we picked right back up. And we're excited because I think this new show is going to give people a look into the trial and things that we went through. And we're gonna set the record straight, put some documents out there. As noted by people, Savannah also talked about the show on the Unlocked with Savannah Chrisley podcast. At the time, the Chrisley family would come full circle and be able to move forward with our lives after her parents were pardoned. She also shared her hope to work with the Trump administration to expose the corruption because he has vowed to hold people accountable if there has been abuse and corruption to occur. She also hoped to work with some organizations, put bills in front of Congress, especially for women who are incarcerated. There's always been something magnetic about Todd Chrisley. With his slick southern drawl, pastel-colored polos, and a flair for drama that rivals any Real Housewife, he commands attention. But behind the staged perfection of Chrisley Knows Best and his meticulous home decor lies a story layered with family, flaws, and a fatherhood that began long before the cameras started rolling. Yes, Todd Chrisley did, in fact, have kids already, long before America met him as the charming, control-freak patriarch on reality TV. But in true Chrisley fashion, it's never as simple as a straightforward family tree. The early Chrisley days, long before he was lecturing Chase about saving money or scolding Savannah for not texting him back within 5 minutes, Todd Chrisley was just a young man in Georgia trying to make his way in real estate and fatherhood. Todd married his high school sweetheart, Teresa Terry, when he was just 21 years old. Back then, he wasn't obsessed with Instagram-worthy centerpieces or label-heavy wardrobes. He was, as some might say, a different kind of Southern boy. The young couple had 2 children together, Lindsay and Kyle. The marriage, however, was rocky, more dramatic divorce. Todd's role as a father had already been cemented. He had kids, real, human, messy, emotional kids. But the world wouldn't truly come to know these early Chrisley children until much later, And even then, their presence on the show was sporadic and at times complicated. Enter Julie, enter the empire. By the time Todd married Julie Chrisley, he was ready to reinvent himself. With Julie came a new kind of calm, or at least the illusion of it. Together, they had 3 children: Chase, Savannah, and Grayson. This was the Chrisley clan that America fell in love with. If Kyle and Lindsay represented Todd's past, Chase, Savannah, and Grayson were the polished, camera-ready future. They were blonde, funny, occasionally rebellious, and always willing to let their dad micromanage their lives in the name of love and ratings. Suddenly, Todd wasn't just a father. He was TV's dad. The kind who'd track your phone location, read your texts, and then tell you with a straight face it was all because he loved you. And somehow we believed him. We laughed, cringed, and rolled our eyes right along with his children. But behind that manicured smile, the question lingered. What about the other kids? The ones who didn't get the perfectly lit confessionals. The other Chrisleys. Kyle Chrisley's story played out more like a tragic subplot than a sitcom. Battling addiction and estranged from his father for several years, Kyle became the cautionary tale Todd never wanted to discuss, at least not in depth. And yet, Kyle made headlines. He had a daughter, Chloe, whom Todd and Julie ultimately took in and raised as their own. A granddaughter raised as a daughter, blurred titles wrapped in Southern hospitality and scandal. Chloe became a fan favorite, a precocious, giggly light in the Chrisley household. But her presence also underscored the family's complicated dynamics. Todd wasn't just a father or grandfather. He was both at once. He had kids. He had grandkids. He had already done so much parenting, and yet somehow it always felt like he was still starting over. Lindsay, meanwhile, distanced herself from the family and later accused her father of blackmail, only for their public feud to simmer quietly in later years. A daughter estranged. A relationship interrupted. A different kind of dad. So yes, Todd Chrisley had kids already. He had them before the limelight, before the tax issues, before the marble countertops and designer closets. And what's most fascinating is how that fact threads through every aspect of his identity. Because Todd isn't the kind of dad who fades into the background. He's the kind of dad who makes his children's relationships, careers, and even their hair color his business. He's the kind of dad who micromanages, not just the details but the emotions. And whether you're his biological child, adopted child, grandchild, or bonus child, he's involved. Intensely. Did he make mistakes? Plenty. But that's part of the story. Fatherhood, for Todd, has never been linear. It's layered, messy, public, private, and often misunderstood. The legacy of already. To say Todd Chrisley already had kids is to acknowledge more than just a timeline. It's to understand that for all his bravado and flamboyance, he is deeply tethered to the people who call him Dad. And now, with Todd serving time for financial crimes, the spotlight has dimmed, but the family narrative continues. Chase is navigating adulthood with the charm and confusion of someone who's always had cameras in his face. Savannah has become Chloe's guardian, stepping into shoes that once belonged to her parents. Grayson is growing up faster than anyone expected. Even behind bars, Todd remains a figure in their lives. Letters, phone calls, the occasional public statement, all carry the weight of a father who's still trying to guide the show from offstage. Because once a Chrisley kid, always a Chrisley kid. The final scene. So yes, Todd Chrisley had kids already. And not just a few. He had a family sprawling with stories, each child a different episode, each relationship a different genre, comedy, tragedy, soap opera. And despite all the drama, the scandals, and the overly perfect throw pillows, Todd's greatest production was never the show. It was the complicated, chaotic, flawed, and fiercely loyal family he built. One he was proud of, even when it hurt. One he still calls his greatest success. Because the truth is, the Chrisley kids came before the cameras, and they'll be there long after the credits roll.